Congratulations if you've made some money off of Coinbase. We ended the day at $295.29, up 16.32%. And the reason it went on a tear? Right here. Coinbase shares rise after Senate passes stablecoin legislation. So the market opens up back on Friday. Let's see if we continue this rally or if we pull back because we are at resistance. I'm going to give you some price targets on the 5-minute time frame. So to the north side takes us to 299.71. Above that, 308.61. And at 4 standard deviations, that is roughly 318.73. To the south side, the median or the middle there takes us to roughly 281. Below that, at another level of support, 262.44, 252.62, and at another level of support and another potential buy-in area and a potential stop loss area, 242.80-ish. Let me explain the lines here. The blue line is a VWAP. That shows us what price where it may land per day and in the time frame that you're playing, and that gives you immediate price action. So this is the middle of the trend. This is the upper band. And I put on here also in this red line and this green line, that is the rolling last 14 days where price typically should be at for the last 14 days, the average combined. So that is at 66.89 and the lower channel is at roughly 254.15. And this is set to the last 300 days, the length here on the deviations. So I like to play this line and this line, but I thought it would be fun just so that you could see where VWAP is and then what the average, the ATR, average true range, and this is adaptive, meaning it just looks back the last 14 days. All right, and then we've got gaps to the downside at 243.10. This one closes right along this line, and I will anticipate a bounce off of that line, as well as a bounce off of this at 231.80 and 207.94. And then we've got a few micro ones in between here, but I just marked out the big one. And to the upside, so we ended at 295.29. Well, this is a target that I had already been looking at. I'm going to change this over to the 1 hour. I marked out this gap for myself. I did not do a video. And look at that, right on cue. This gap, we gapped up. So the gap filled, we gapped down and it filled to the upside. And I marked that on the 5, so that is not lining up, but we gapped down. So then eventually we fill to the upside. If you like to play gaps, that was a big one, a mammoth one. And it coincided with good news and it took us to that level and closed it out. So this is no longer in play. I do not see any other gaps to the upside that will take us to any point that I would say, you know, watch out for a gap play. No such luck. But the 1-year price target, according to TradingView, is now $400, which represents a 35% return from where we are. So that's not too shabby at 295. I will anticipate, remember, a pullback because we are at resistance. You can bet this will pull back for possibly another leg up, yes, but we could go down to here, bounce off of this line or a few other lines that I pointed out. Many levels of support and resistance in between -2 and 2, but this is a big one in the middle right here, and that will be support. And if you were lucky enough, there was a cybersecurity breach on the 15th that dropped the ticker down 7% for a dip buy. And just like CrowdStrike, when they had their breach and that ticker tanked, and now it's roared back and better than ever. And had you bought in at a time when people feared that ticker, congratulations for being a contrarian. All right, next one up. Oh, wait, let me just show you. So right here is the price, and then on the 1 year, and we have no idea when this started, this 1 year. All we know is we could mark it out, and hypothetically, we could touch this line. Oh, wait, oh, it doesn't mark. Well, the calendar doesn't extend. So let me go to a different time frame. Let's go to the 15. No, let's just go to the daily. When does that cross over? All right, we could touch this line by, wait, where's the date? Oh, it doesn't come out this far, so it's not even, I can't even tell you on the daily. Nope, that's not marked out. I would have to change my length. I'm not going to do that. It takes too long. All right, so yeah, look at this. This is 2027, and we are way up here. So that is long term. Don't think we're going to get there in a month. And if we did, that's a miracle. All right, the next one is ENPH. I've already done this many times, but I'm going to do it because it ran today 4.18%, part of Vanguard's Total Stock Market Index Fund. I do not recommend you trading off of Vanguard because it's a nightmare trying to sell your shares. Vanguard is basically for buy and hold people and long-term investors. It sucks for day trading. Well, for short term, because you have to sell in a market order. You cannot do either first in, first out, or highest in, doesn't matter the price. It's just a stupid nightmare. They need to change that and get with the times, but they don't want to because that's not their format. So they're not going to do it. So I have a different account that I trade off of as well. But for ENPH, we are, oh, I never marked out the price. We are right here, 36.38. So one notch up to the middle of the trend on the daily takes us to 38.99 and roughly 59.45. And to the south side, roughly 18.86. Fingers crossed we don't get that low. Back to the 5. Let me give you Friday's price targets. This is where we are, 36.38. And I've had Vanguard for a very long time. And I've started to phase out 38.99, 41.85, 44.70. Middle of the trend and the baseline on the 5, which is one level of also support, 33.02, 27.22, 24.34, 21.52. All right, what are all these other lines? Well, for VWAP, so you can't, it's hard to make out, but VWAP is right here in the blue, 36.13. The upper channel, we are at resistance for VWAP, 36.38. The bottom channel takes us to 35.83. And the last rolling 14 days for the average true range, the price is at 37.64 and we're at 36.38. And to the south side, which would be support, also 34.28. Looking left on the 5, you can see price hit here. This is resistance. We crash down this gap. We flush down, and then when we fill, it will be to this line here, and that would take us to roughly 45.69. And the 1 year price target, oh, excuse me, 51.22, which represents a 40% return from where we are. Look at this basing over here. Consolidating, going sideways, and then boom, took us down. Oh, let's talk about this gap that I have marked out. Nope, see, it looked like it touched right there. It did not. So this gap, see that hit, the ATR hit 47.60 there at one point, but that did not touch. So this gap is still in play. That will take us to 47.11 and down here at 39.76. The last time I looked at this, price was at 38.01. What happened? So from here, let me get rid of my magnet. From here to right this notch, let's say. Oh wait, we went higher right there. That's what the heck? A 23% return if you got out at 38. We went up to 46.88. So I looked at that on May the 23rd, Friday, May the 23rd. And then we gave it all back up again and then some. So that could be an opportunity here for a buy-in. If you can get this even less, that would be amazing. If you could get it down here, that would be fantastic, but don't hold your breath. We have to get through all of these levels to get down to here. But if you like to play it like I do, you just set a 60-day, 30 days, 60 days or whatever it is, and hit a buy and then don't think about it. Hopefully it gets down there. And hopefully it doesn't get down there. If you bought up here, you don't want to see your stock tank unless you're also going to dollar cost average in. All right, the next one I want to talk about is a Mastercard. All right, the middle of the, okay, we're at 538.73 resistance, because on the way up that turns into resistance. 540.80, the middle of the trend lines up with the upper channel of VWAP. That's for daily price action. This is the last 14 days again, the ATR, 569.76. Okay, this is also going to be resistance, so we could chop along here, fall down, or continue going down on this green line, or chop sideways. All right, 573.73, 582.06. and 590.53. We've got a gap up here that closes at 588.12. So the VWAP is 548.13. The bottom of VWAP happens to be right here where price is, and that is at 539.28. The ATR, average true range, is 569.86, and this green line 559.47. So we're down here. So if you bought it down here without doing any other type of research, trend lines, Fibonacci, patterns, whatever, teacup handle, I don't play any of that, but if you look at this is down here, and the average true range is this window here, this channel. And up here we've got resistance, and that always calls for a pullback. Voila. Bounce up, hit resistance here on this line, down to support, and then back up again. The 1-year price target, hard to think that there's more room to the upside at 538. It's 627.39, so another 16%. And then after that, if you click that tab, that's 627 and then 690. More people are using their credit cards. People are getting priced out. Everything's so expensive. I have a neighbor of mine in one of my homes in a condo. She is on a fixed income and just bleeding out, and it's so hard to see. And many people are using their credit cards to get by. And I've given her some ideas of what she can do to stop the bleeding and get some income coming in. But anyway, that does it for me. That is a look at Mastercard, ENPH, and Coinbase. If there is a ticker you'd like me to go over, please let me know, and have a great trading day.